The year 1946 was a pivotal one for India. World War II had just ended, and the Indian people, weary of colonial rule, were on the verge of achieving their long-fought freedom. The British Empire, though victorious in the war, was severely weakened and facing immense pressure to grant independence to its largest colony. Amidst this backdrop of anticipation and uncertainty, a momentous event unfolded in February 1946 that would further shake the foundations of British rule in India: the Royal Indian Navy Mutiny. This unprecedented uprising, which began in Bombay and quickly spread to naval establishments across the subcontinent, sent shockwaves through the British establishment and ignited the flames of nationalism further. The mutiny was not an isolated incident. It was a manifestation of the deep-seated resentment and discontent that had been brewing for decades under British rule. The sailors' grievances, which included poor living conditions, racial discrimination and lack of proper pay and food, resonated with millions of Indians who yearned for a brighter and fairer future. The mutiny was a clarion call for freedom, a powerful symbol of Indian resistance against colonial oppression. It demonstrated the fragility of British power and the growing strength of the Indian nationalist movement. The spark that ignited the mutiny was seemingly insignificant. Sailors aboard the HMIS Talwar in Bombay protested against the poor quality of food and the racist treatment meted out by their British superiors. The protests, fueled by simmering discontent and a yearning for dignity, quickly escalated into a full-blown mutiny. The sailors, joined by their comrades from other ships and naval establishments, hoisted the Indian tricolour flag, a potent symbol of their aspirations for an independent India. The mutiny spread rapidly from Bombay to Karachi, Calcutta and other ports, uniting Indian sailors across religious and regional divides. The British, taken aback by the scale and audacity of the uprising, responded swiftly and decisively. They deployed warships and ground troops to quell the rebellion, determined to crush the mutiny and reassert their authority. The mutineers, though lacking in military experience and weaponry, displayed remarkable courage and resilience. They held their ground, refusing to surrender until their demands were met. The mutiny, initially perceived as a localized disturbance, had transformed into a major challenge to British rule in India. The British, determined to crush the mutiny and reassert their authority, responded with overwhelming force. Warships were dispatched to Bombay harbour, their guns trained on the rebel ships. British troops were deployed in the city, clashing with protesters and enforcing curfews. The air crackled with tension and uncertainty. The sound of gunfire echoed through the streets of Bombay, a stark reminder of the brutal reality of colonial rule. The mutineers, though outmatched in firepower, refused to back down. They continued to hold their positions, their resolve strengthened by the outpouring of support from the Indian populace. The Indian National Congress, led by Mahatma Gandhi, adopted a cautious approach. While sympathetic to the sailors' grievances, Gandhi condemned the use of violence and urged the mutineers to surrender. He feared that a prolonged and bloody conflict would jeopardize the ongoing negotiations for independence. The tide began to turn as negotiations and concessions came into play. The British, realizing the futility of a prolonged conflict, initiated talks with the mutineers. The sailors, while firm in their demands, were also eager to find a peaceful resolution. The negotiations were tense, with both sides wary of each other's intentions. However, the pressure from the Indian populace and the broader nationalist movement could not be ignored. Concessions were made and a fragile truce was established. The mutiny, though suppressed, had left an indelible mark on the Indian independence movement. It exposed the vulnerabilities of British rule and galvanized the Indian people in their quest for freedom. The Royal Indian Navy Mutiny of 1946 remains a testament to the power of collective action and the unyielding spirit of those who dared to challenge an empire.